Okay, this is what I'm going to do to weld up these pieces of cable. First thing, weld the ends up, both ends. This one hasn't been welded, using a hose clamp to keep it tight so we can get a good weld on it. Cut square inch pieces, about 1.5 inches. These are going to be welded onto the end of the handle. Welded onto the end. Now this is with the square stock welded onto the ends. 2 pieces, one on each end. Just make sure you got them welded on there pretty good, because they're going to be getting some use here in a little bit. Okay, so weld the square stock. I welded on the handle. I'm too lazy. I got about 6 pairs of tongs that I haven't finished, so I use handles. Here's the 3. Each one's got its own handle. Like I said before, I use Harbor Freight for the welder because $100, same duty cycle, same wire. I use good wire in it. I got rid of the junk that came with it. I'm using a Hobart wire, I believe it is. Doesn't matter, just a good quality wire. Move up to the 35 and you shouldn't have any problems. It does spatter a little bit, but hey, you're working with a 110 welder, you're not working with 220, so you're going to have issues. But for $100, you can't beat it. Okay, cable Damascus, bringing it up to temp, pretty close. We're going to flux it. Stick it back in the fire. The second heat, you're going to want to make sure you bring it up to forge weld temps. Let it soak. Once you see it look like it's ready, let it sit for another couple of minutes so you know you've got it heated through and through before you try to twist. This is what I got. Harbor Freight. I actually bought it off a guy on Craigslist for a couple of bucks. Welded a piece of square stock on it. Works just fine. Like I said, just let the second heat get it up to temp. I let mine get up to bright yellow, almost white, before I start messing with it. You can see I'm using the Deluxe 2-burner from Majestic. I'm running on about 5 pounds, 5 psi on my regulator. Flames are going pretty good in there. As you can see, the floor is covered in flux, but I know I should be using ceramic tile on there, but right now I'm just got a bunch of cable I'm building up, so might as well get them all done before I start messing with the bricks that I need to replace. A couple of bucks, pop them in and out, no big deal. Also, another thing on the back side of my forge, got a couple of soft bricks blocking off the back. Contains the heat a little better, let you get up to temp a little faster from what I can tell. And works for me, so I've been doing it. I tried it one time with the backside off open, and too much heat escaped, so it contains the heat a lot better. So that's what I've been going with ever since. Okay, I've got it up to a bright orange yellow. We're going to try to give it a twist, see what happens. This one's kind of loose, so I'm going to have to twist it a couple of times. This is the first go around. Flux it again. And then back in the heat. You're going to want to bring it up to forge temp again and do the same thing. Like I said, I'm going to do this one a couple of times because this cable was a little loose. When I cut the cable, I didn't have the clamp down tight enough, so the cable popped loose, so I had to stick the strands back together as tight as I could get them. So this one's going to take a little extra work. Okay, second twist. More flux. And back in the heat again. I smack it on my anvil, get rid of the excess old flux. Hit it with the wire brush, flux it again, stick it back in there. I'm going to go for a second. That was my second turn. Next time out, I'm going to tap on it with the hammer and see how solid it's got. Okay, 2 twists, back up to heat. We're going to see if see how solid it is. I don't see any splitting from hitting it. I got one wire that didn't get welded, so but it's sounding pretty solid. It's not coming apart. Stick it back in there for a second soak and we'll smack it a little bit more, but it sounds like it's doing pretty good, so no need to put any more flux on it. Sounds like it's holding together. So now it's moving on to just moving the steel around. Here's another one I was working on the other day. Should be good. Second billet, the one that's already all flattened out, I'm going to be doing a second knife similar to this. Still doing some woodwork on the handle. Want to make it fit nice and good. I moved the this part up a little bit farther, so I'm going to decided to put serrations on the back so it'll fit nice and good in the hand when you're sawing away. Like I said, it's still good. You got a nice thumb groove right here in the back that'll hold your fingers, so it works pretty good. The other billet that I'm working on from the other cable is going to be a folding kukri, so we'll see how that turns out. Okay, back up to temp. Okay, it's solid, so from here on out I'm just gonna flatten it and shape it to whatever I need it to be, and good to go. It took about, I don't know, hour. Back in the heat and start pounding. And for those of you wondering, yeah, I do have a crack right in the center block. You can see it. Still full of flux. It's barely leaking out of the bottom, so I ain't concerned with it. It's not losing too much heat, so